external force creates massive shear, he lands awkwardly, forcing the foot into extreme inversion and plantar flexion. But we cannot close this video without talking about the most bizarre injury of the tournament. We saw some of the most devastating injuries in World Cup this year. But an ACL tear or a snapped tibia isn't just bad luck. It is pure biomechanical failure. Today, we're looking at the exact split second the tissues gave up. We're breaking down the forces, the structural limits, and the brutal reality of the rehab. Welcome to the Motion Engineer. We start with the injury that shocked everyone. Ismaël Koné's broken leg. This is high-energy trauma. Look at this foot. It is planted firmly in the grass, completely locking a kinetic chain. When the tackle hits, the external force creates massive shear and bending stress across the lower leg. Because the foot is trapped, that kinetic energy has nowhere to escape. The tibia reaches its structural limit first, and in high-energy injuries like this, the fibula frequently fractures as well. The hardest part of the rehab isn't waiting for the bone to unite. For elite players, it takes an average of 20 weeks just to return to the pitch. It is rebuilding the neuromuscular control and psychological confidence to ever take a hit like that again. Moving to the ultimate nightmare for any athlete, the ACL rupture. Amadou Onana went down with severe right knee injury. A full anterior cruciate ligament tear. It happens in a split second. Rapid deceleration with the knee in slight flexion, combined with dynamic valgus and rotation, creates loads that exceed the ACL's tensile capacity. It hits faster than the nervous system can even react. Onana was rushed to Lyon for surgery with world-renowned specialists. He is facing at least 9 months of heavy rehabilitation. It's a complete system reset, rebuilding quad volume, joint stability, and high-speed cutting mechanics from scratch. Returning to the pitch is heavily milestone-based, not calendar-based. Research shows that returning before the 8-month mark drastically increases the risk of secondary tear. You cannot trust biology. We usually associate muscle injuries with sprinting. Courtois showed us something different. In the 71st minute of the quarterfinal against Spain, the veteran keeper was forced off immediately after a long clearance. Biomechanically, a max effort kick places extreme demand on the Rectus Femoris. During the backswing, the muscle stretches aggressively as the leg violently whips forward to strike the ball. It transitions into a massive high-speed contraction. If the force generated approaches the tissue ultimate capacity, microscopic fiber failure likely begins before a complete structural tear occurs, producing immediately pain and protective inhibition. At 34 years old, with massive cumulative fatigue from an increasing rate of matches, Courtois felt an intense overload in his quad during that kick. While he fortunately avoided a severe grade 3 tear, the mechanics show us exactly how close the rectus femoris comes to a catastrophic failure. He was subbed off to prevent a complete rupture. Now, let's talk about the silent tournament killers. Hamstring injuries. Brazil alone lost both Rafinha and Lucas Paqueta to hamstring strains during the group stages. Just days later, Tielemans was ruled out of the quarters and England's Rhys James was sidelined with the exact same issue. During terminal swing, the hamstrings work eccentrically to decelerate the rapidly extending knee and prepare the limb for gradual contact. If athletes face sudden increase in high-speed running, the eccentrically induced muscle damage exceeds the tissue can handle and it tears. It is not just fatigue, it is brutal mismatch between demand and capacity. That is why rehab here is about aggressively rebuilding eccentric strength and force absorption, not just resting. The lateral angle sprain. We see it everywhere. Jarell Quansah twisted his ankle during England's final group stage win over Panama, ruling him out of the crucial start of the knockout stages. Watch the mechanics. He lands awkwardly, forcing the foot into extreme inversion and plantar flexion. The outside of the ankle is stretched past its limit. The ATFL ligaments takes the primary hit and the force keeps coming. The CFL goes down next. The old school method was to put in a boot and rest. Modern rehab gets them weight bearing and moving almost immediately to restore joint proprioception and dynamic stability. Finally, facial trauma. Stefan Posch that suffered a broken jaw from a heavy collision against Jordan. But unlike the other injuries on the list, his tournament didn't end. He didn't even need surgery. Instead, he flew to Los Angeles to be fitted with a custom jaw brace. Biomechanically, this mask acts as a force dissipator. This reduces the risk of re-injury to the healing fracture and minimizes the chance of secondary structural failure. It is the ultimate biomechanical hack to keep a player safely on the pitch. But we cannot close this video without talking about the most bizarre injury of the tournament. Jordan Henderson. This didn't happen from a brutal tackle. It happened during post-match celebrations. As he tries to clear the advertising board, his left hand slips. He loses his balance and face plants forward. He instinctively extends his arm to break the fall. In orthopedics, this is a classic foot injury, a fall on outstretched hand. The wrist is forced into extreme hyperextension while compressive forces travel proximally through the distal radius and carpal bone, creating massive axial loading. Because his joints are locked, that kinetic energy has absolutely nowhere to dissipate. The mechanical load overpowers the structural limit of the bones, resulting in a severe fracture. It wasn't just a sprain he could walk off. It required oxygen on the pitch, a stretcher, and an immediate trip to the hospital. In professional sports, fixing a severe fracture like this often requires surgical plate and screw fixation, bringing a grueling recovery time. Bone failure, ligament ruptures, muscle overload. Every single one of these injuries comes down to one thing: force exceeding tissue capacity. Rehabilitation isn't just about waiting for tissues to heal. It is about rebuilding a machine that can survive professional football. Which injury mechanism surprised you the most? Drop a comment down below. Subscribe to The Motion Engineer for more biomechanic breakdowns. And I'll see you in the next video.